All right, Shalom. I want to start by giving our praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who teach and rule well, and also to their elders, the men that taught them. I pray the Lord have peace, blessings, and mercy upon the households of the hopeful elect. This is the brother Shema Wan from the Great Millstone Houston Church, and I want to come with a lesson today, just thinking about this winter storm that's coming. You know, a lot of people have a checklist that they have in place, you know, preparing for impact, bracing for impact, but just meditating, you know, the first thing on our checklist, you know, those who believe in Yahweh Shai, those who believe in Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, whenever moments like this comes, like whenever, you know, you can prepare for impact or brace for impact, you know, the number one thing on our checklist is faith, you know, and from that, and that's how and from there, from that being established, you know, we go from there. So it ain't no overexerting ourselves on what we can do, what we might, you know, what if. None of that shit, you know, is necessary, because we understand who is in control. We understand who controls life and death. We understand who controls the events that take place on the earth. And that's who we got faith in. That's who we try to obey. That's who we acknowledge on a daily basis. That's who we move in fear towards. You know, that's who we glory in. You know, so it's a difference in times like this. We look forward to evils coming on this earth. We look forward to the bad news because we understand we have hope. We have a way out. We have protection in times like this. All right. And though, yeah, the world and people who don't believe in Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, they're able to make it through another day, you know, and be able to talk shit and you know, and keep going without acknowledging the Lord. Well, guess what? The Lord is just exposing the foundations that these people live on. You know, and ultimately it's going to come where there ain't going to be no escape. It ain't going to be no room left to talk. No, ain't none of that. Because the only way out, as we continue to get to the end, is going to be by Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. And at the end of the day, the only way out is up, man. All right. So with that being said, I just want to focus on, you know, today's what topic of discussion, you know, the winter storm, you know, that America is preparing for. All right. So I pray this lesson be edifying to the Lord's elect. Let me start here in Job 37 and I'm going to start at verse 5 in the NLT. It said, the Most High's voice is glorious in the thunder. We can't even imagine the greatness of his power. He directs the snow to fall on the earth and tells the rain to pour down. Then everyone stops working so they can watch his power. The wild animals take cover and stay inside their dens. The stormy wind comes from its chamber, and the driving winds bring the cold. The Most High's breath sends the ice, freezing wide expanses of water. He loads the clouds with moisture, and they flash with his lightning. The clouds churn about at his direction. They do whatever he commands throughout the earth. Here's the point, too. He makes these things happen either to punish people or to show his unfailing love. So we understand the Lord controls these things, even like we're, you know, the conditions we're in today, weather, you know, the rain, the snow, the ice, the freezing, all of these things are in the hands of the Lord, used for what? To either punish people or to show his unfailing love. All right. Isaiah 45 and 7 in the NLT. I create the light and make the darkness. I send good times and bad times. I, the Lord, am the one who does these things. You know, and understanding that, that's why our fear is directed to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, the one who can control these things. You know, that's why we reverence, acknowledge, and glorify Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. You know, not playing around, because whenever times like this hit, you know, now it ain't fun. You know, shit ain't all fun in games no more, especially whenever you out here bad. All right. Proverbs 24, Proverbs chapter 14 and verse 26 in the GNT. Reverence for the Lord gives confidence and security to a man and his family. So having that fear, having that respect towards Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai is good for you and your family. During uncomfortable times or bad times, the Lord can be your confidence. The Lord can be your hope. The Lord can be, your support, right? Not only for you, but also for your family. It says, do you want to avoid death? Reverence for the Lord is a fountain of life. That's how you avoid death. That's how you avoid overcoming, and breaking and falling. All right. Let me get another one. Psalms 91 and 9 in the NLT. If you make the Lord your refuge, if you make the Most High your shelter, no evil will conquer you. No plague will come near you. Nope. Hold up. It says, no evil will conquer you. No plague will come near your home, for he will order his angels to protect you wherever you go. So see, protection for us and a household too, and this is exactly what, this is a part of our foundation, firmly believing in that. Why? Because we understand we call on the name of the Lord. How a lot of people could say we make the Lord our refuge, but a lot of people don't actually call on his name though, and believe in his name and have works towards that. Like it says, Proverbs, 18 and 10. The name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous runneth into it and is safe. That's what relying and trusting on Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai does. All right. Literally calling and believing on his name, in his son's name. So whenever trouble comes, we have confidence in times like that. Not only just for us, our family too. In our household see that. Our household see, speaking as a man, our household see that we serve Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, and we have a comfort in that. And they get comforted from seeing us like that. That's why a lot of people out here, they're not going to be able to, keep calm. Even those who say keep their shit together. But mind you, a lot of these people are the ones that have the money and resources and, things put in place for times like this. But whenever that shit runs out, whenever the Lord doesn't allow those things to be there anymore, you are finna see a lot of people have a lack of self-control. Because like the scriptures say, hey, money could be a defense, just like wisdom is. But hey, wisdom is going to lead to everlasting life, not no damn money. Money can't save you from the Lord's judgments. All right. It's going to be Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai's protection. It's going to be his charge over his angels. It's going to be him, doing the delivering, and who makes it out and who is consumed in these judgments, man. But just going into, preparing our mind, like we have been doing for times like this, nothing is going to change. Lord willing, our faith is going to remain the same, when we're going to continue to glorify Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai like we have been doing. Watch, and we'll sit back and watch the faithless lose their damn mind, Sirach 22 and 16 in the GNT. A wooden beam can be put into a building so firmly that an earthquake cannot shake it loose. A person can be trained to use reason and good sense so well that he keeps his head when a crisis comes. And that's what we've been built up in. And that's what we've been working towards. And that's what you get over here at Great Millstone. Just thinking about whenever, other catastrophic moments or events took place, you are around like-minded men that have faith in Yahweh Shai, that have faith in Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. The things you do in your life change if you really, if you really in it, if you really in it, your actions, your course of life changes whenever trouble comes, whenever a crisis comes, because you use that good sense, which is sticking to this word. Like the scriptures tell you, the Lord will be the guide of those that keep his precepts and commandments. You know, we always go back to these scriptures. We go back to the support we got. You know, hey, the building conversations, the conversations that build you up, sharpen you up, you know, from your fellow brother. The world don't receive that. The world don't have the privilege of that. The world will run to the nearest place they can find help from the government, you know, and shit like that. But understanding a person can be trained to use reason and good sense so well that he keeps his head when a crisis comes. You are not out here tripping, you know, in complaining, in acting like a little biatch, you know, really. That's why the scriptures tell you a man of the Lord is going to be, you know, more precious than gold in these last days, because the average man is going to be found out to be, you know, to have a spirit of a woman, you know, to have the spirit of a Western American. It ain't too many people getting built up in this word, getting built up around, you know, other men that believe in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah. That's why going into whatever it is takes place. Let me hit this real quick. Sirach 34:13 in the GNT. Those who fear the Lord will live because they have put their trust in the one who can save them. Fear the Lord and you will have nothing else to fear. If your trust is in him, you will never act like a coward. If your trust is in him, you will never act like a coward. Understanding how it says, wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times. Strength of salvation, the fear of the Lord is his treasure. You know, you don't have to move in a way that's like uncertain. You know, you don't have to move in a way where it's iffy. You know, we understand, like it tells you in Sirach, the 2nd chapter, look at the generations of old, whoever trusted in the Lord and was confounded, or whoever called on his name and was rejected, roughly paraphrasing. You know, that's what we go back to. So verse 15, it says, people who fear the Lord are fortunate because they know where they can look for help. Hey, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah. Whenever we cry to the Lord, whenever we pray to the Lord, that's where we go. Matter of fact, Sirach, the 2nd chapter is beautiful, you know, with reading this, because it goes hand in hand. You know, whenever you are changed to a lower state, you don't make haste. You know, you stick to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah, because you understand you have nowhere else to go. Where are you going to go for help? Or where are you going to go to get out of the situation that you're in, you know, presently? So it says people who fear the Lord are fortunate because they know where they can look for help. And that's the thing. We know. It ain't no looking around trying to find help. We know where to go, you know, just straight to the point, man. These people are going to be out here looking for help, looking for answers. All right. Verse 16, the Lord watches over those who love him. The scriptures tell you if you love the Lord, you're going to what? Keep his commandments. Most people throw the Lord's commandments away as if they're not important to acknowledge. But that's why whenever it comes to who is going to receive mercy and who doesn't, these things are going to be, you know, hey, these things are going to be considered. These things are going to be brought up. Like it tells you works and faith, they go hand in hand. A lot of people think they're going to be saved through their faith, but ain't got no works. Ain't acknowledged none of the Lord's ways, none of his commandments, none of the things that are important to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah. But people out here thinking they about to be safe and protected forever. No way. That will make the Lord a liar. Judgment is going to come. You know, it's going to be no escaping and avoiding the judgments. That's why it says the Lord watches over those who love him. So how do you think it's going to be for those who don't? It says, he is their strong protection and firm support. He shelters them from the heat, shades them from the noonday sun, and keeps them from stumbling and falling. So the Lord is a physical protection, and even mentally and spiritually, keeping you on track, keeping you where you don't fall off, where you don't lose hope, where you don't get deceived. You stay locked in and able to endure and keep going. But this is the last precept I have. Psalms chapter 112 and verse 4. I'm gonna read it in the NLT. It says, light shines in the darkness for the godly. They are generous, compassionate, and righteous. Good comes to those who lend money generously and conduct their business fairly. Going into it now. Such people will not be overcome by evil. Those who are righteous will be long remembered. Here we go. They do not fear bad news. They confidently trust the Lord to care for them. So just like we're in these times right now, a lot of people have the brace of, for their weak mind's sake, people are just out here trying to be fear mongers, trying to instill fear in you. No, this is the reality of things. Hey, more evils are going to increase. Judgments of the Lord are going to amplify up. And whenever these things take place, whenever the bad news comes, we don't get scared at that shit. We don't react, and start moving differently. Whenever we hear about the bad news, we remain, with a healthy faith and trust in Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shah, because we understand the Lord has a care for us, man. It says they do not fear bad news. They confidently trust the Lord to care for them, and just like certain situations that happened in the past, look back at how the Lord got us through those times by doing what we do, call upon the name of the Lord. Don't have to go, anywhere else, as far as, not understanding that Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shah is, the foundation of everything. Just like whenever something pops off, what do we do? Go to Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shah first and foremost. Just like the winter storm checklist, faith. Okay, that's at the top. That's the foundation. Now we can build off of that, and just shit like that. But I pray this lesson was edifying out in it there. Just meditating and seeing how people move, at the job, everybody, in their mind, making sure I'm straight just in case this happens, making sure I got this in case that happens. That's the thing. You don't control the Lord's judgments. They happen however they want to. We just have a sure we have a sure faith and confidence in, us remaining and just trusting in Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shah regardless, of what he decides to do and how he does it. We just want to remain faithful, where we don't have to fear these things, but just trust in the Lord. So I'll end it there. I pray this was edifying to the Lord's elect. Hey, until the next time, I say shalom.